When will this stop? Amara asked, her voice trembling. She stood there, holding a bowl of food in her hands, her eyes filled with sadness as she looked at her husband, Chidi. Chidi didn't even look up from his plate. He continued to eat as if nothing was wrong, his eyes glued to the food in front of him. "Keep quiet, woman," he muttered without looking at her. "You're my property. I paid your bride price in full, so I have the right to do whatever I like with you." Amara's heart dropped. She felt the sting of his words deep inside her, but she said nothing. She clenched her fists around the bowl, her nails digging into the plastic. She couldn't understand how he could say that so easily, so coldly. Every day it felt like she was losing herself piece by piece. "This is hurting me," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "We have a dining table. Why can't you eat there? Must I carry the food for you all the time?" Tears began to well up in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. She had to be strong. She had to make him understand, even if it was impossible. Chidi still didn't look at her. He just took another mouthful of food, chewing slowly as if he was savoring every bite, completely unaware, or maybe pretending to be unaware, of the pain he was causing. "Woman, when your family gave me that long list of things to pay for the bride price, like you were a private jet or something, did you not know what was coming?" Chidi finally spoke again, his tone sharp, mocking. Amara's chest tightened. The mention of the bride price made her stomach turn. It was as if her value was reduced to a price tag, a transaction, something she couldn't escape. "When my family tried to adjust the list," Chidi continued, finally looking up at her with a smirk, "what was your family's response? They wanted to make it harder, to make me pay more. But now you're here, my property, and I'll do whatever I want to you." Amara felt a cold shiver run down her spine. Every word he said felt like a slap in the face. She had never imagined that her life, her marriage would feel like this. It was as if she had no voice, no power. She was just a thing, something to be controlled. She stood there, still holding the food, unsure of what to do next. Part of her wanted to throw the bowl at him, to scream, to demand her freedom, but another part of her was scared. Scared of what he might do, scared of what might happen if she spoke out too much. "Why can't we just eat together like normal people?" Amara asked. Her voice trembling, but there was a fire in her heart now. She wasn't going to back down this time. "Why do I have to serve you like this all the time?" Chidi leaned back in his chair, laughing softly as if her question was some kind of joke. "You don't get it, do you?" he said, shaking his head. "When I paid your bride price, I bought you. You belong to me now, and you'll do whatever I say, whenever I say it. You're just a woman, a thing I paid for. That's how it works." Amara could feel the anger bubbling up inside her, but she held it in. She had learned over the years that anger didn't get her anywhere with Chidi. He would just laugh it off, or worse, make her feel like she was the one who was wrong. "I'm not a thing, Chidi," she said quietly but firmly. "I'm a person, with feelings. I don't deserve to be treated like this. I don't deserve to be humiliated, to be made to feel like I'm nothing." Chidi's expression darkened, his smile disappearing. He stood up suddenly, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. "You better watch your mouth, woman," he snapped, his voice low and dangerous. "Don't ever forget who you're talking to." Amara stepped back, startled by his sudden movement. She had never seen him this angry before. "I'm sorry, Chidi," she said quickly, even though she didn't feel sorry at all. "I didn't mean to upset you." Chidi looked at her, his eyes cold and calculating. He seemed to take a moment to decide what to do, his gaze moving from her face to the food in her hands. "You've got a lot of nerve, you know that?" he said slowly. "I work hard every day to provide for you, and this is how you repay me. Complaining about the food I eat. About how I choose to eat." Amara swallowed hard. "I'm not complaining," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I just want us to be normal, to share a meal like we're equals. I want to feel like you care about me, not like I'm just some servant, just someone you own." Chidi's laugh was short, cruel. "You're delusional," he said. "You think I'm going to sit down with you on the same level? After everything you and your family put me through with that ridiculous bride price list? Amara flinched at the mention of the bride price again. She hated how it was always thrown in her face like it was the reason for everything. Chidi, I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for all of this. But I still love you. I still want to be with you. Chidi's face softened for a moment, but only for a split second. Then, it was gone, replaced by a look of cold indifference. Love doesn't change anything, he said, his voice icy. I don't care about your love. I care about respect. And until you show me the respect I deserve, this is how it's going to be. Amara stood there frozen, unsure of what to say next. She could feel the walls closing in around her, like she was trapped in a cage with no way out. I'm not your servant, Chidi, she said softly, almost to herself. I'm not. Chidi didn't respond right away. Instead, he picked up the plate, carrying it over to the sink with an air of finality. You'll learn soon enough, he muttered, his back turned to her. You'll learn that I don't care about your feelings. Not now. Not ever. Amara stood there, her heart pounding in her chest. What did she do now? Where could she go from here? How much longer could she live like this? She felt a strange mix of fear and anger rising inside her. I don't want to live like this anymore, she thought, her mind racing. I can't keep doing this. But what choice do I have? The silence in the room was deafening, and for the first time in a long while, Amara wondered if there was any hope left for her in this marriage, or if it was already too late. Amara stood still in the kitchen, staring at Chidi as he washed the dishes. The silence between them felt thick, suffocating, and she could feel the weight of his words pressing down on her chest. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. She tried again. Chidi, please. Chidi turned to her, his hands still in the sink, but his eyes were cold. What? He asked, his voice rough. What do you want now? Amara swallowed, trying to steady her shaking hands. I just want to be treated like your wife, not like I'm beneath you. Is that too much to ask? Chidi let out a bitter laugh. You don't get it, do you? He turned off the tap and wiped his hands on the towel. I don't need to treat you like my wife. You're my property. I own you. That's how this works. Amara's heart clenched. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Every word he spoke, every time he reminded her of her place, chipped away at the little strength she had left. I'm not your property, Chidi, Amara whispered, her voice trembling, barely able to keep it together. I'm a human being. I deserve to be loved and respected. Chidi didn't seem to hear her. He was too busy staring at the floor as if he was thinking. Respect? Love? Oh, that's for people who don't know how to survive in this world, he said, his voice growing low and hard. What do you think this is? A fairy tale? You want love? You want respect? You should have thought about that before you agreed to everything your family wanted. I gave them what they wanted, and now you're mine. You think that comes free? Amara was silent. She didn't know how to respond to that. She didn't know how to fight back against the weight of his words, the way he made her feel so small, so powerless. Chidi, she began, her voice a little stronger but still breaking. I didn't choose this life. I didn't choose you treating me like this. This isn't what I imagined for us. Chidi turned to face her now, his expression cold but almost amused. You didn't choose this life? He shook his head slowly. You're funny, Amara. You think you have a choice now? It's too late for that. You've already made your choice when you let your family sell you to me. Amara's face burned, her stomach turning in knots. They didn't sell me, she said quickly, though she could feel the heat of shame creeping up her neck. I didn't ask for all that. I just wanted to be happy. I wanted to be your partner, not this. Chidi's lips curled into a smirk. A partner? He said, stepping closer to her. You're not my partner, Amara. You're my property. There's a difference. I gave you everything you have. And this is how you repay me? By whining? Amara recoiled at his words, feeling the sharp sting of humiliation all over again. I'm not whining, she said, her voice steady despite the tears that threatened to spill. I'm just asking for basic respect. I don't want to feel like I'm nothing. I don't want to feel like you hate me. Chidi's expression flickered for just a moment, like something in him softened, but then he hardened again, like a stone wall. You don't get it, do you? He asked, his voice quiet now but deadly. Respect doesn't come for free. Respect has to be earned, and I don't owe you anything. Not respect, not love, nothing. Amara felt her chest tighten. It was like he was a brick wall, and no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't get through to him. She felt small, so small, but she couldn't stop herself. What did I do to deserve this, Chidi? What did I do to make you treat me like this? Chidi looked away, staring out the window, his jaw clenching. For a moment he was silent. Then, without turning to face her, he said, You don't have to do anything. You already gave me everything I needed when you agreed to marry me. Your family sold you to me, and I paid the price. Now you belong to me. And there's no going back. Amara felt like the ground beneath her feet was shaking. His words felt like a blow to her heart. She had never felt so helpless, so trapped. I don't belong to you, Chidi, she said, her voice stronger this time, defiant even in her sadness. I'm not some object. I'm a person. And if you can't see that, then maybe this isn't going to work. Chidi's eyes snapped back to hers, and for a moment, Amara saw something flash across his face, something dark, something dangerous. He stepped closer to her, his voice low and threatening. You think you can just leave? You think you can walk away from me? Chidi's voice was a low growl, each word slow and deliberate. You think you can talk to me like that after everything I've done for you? You can't leave, Amara. You belong to me now, and if you think you're going anywhere, you're wrong. Amara's heart pounded in her chest. She stepped back, fear creeping into her veins, but she refused to let him see it. She couldn't show weakness now, not when everything felt like it was falling apart. You can't control me, Chidi, she said, her voice barely above a whisper but firm. I'm not yours to control. I'm a person with my own life, my own choices. Chidi reached out, grabbing her arm with a grip so tight it made her wince. You don't have a choice, Amara, he said, his face inches from hers, his breath hot and heavy. You're mine, and you will do as I say. Understand? Amara's breath caught in her throat. She tried to pull away, but his grip tightened. She could feel the heat rising in her chest, a mix of anger and fear. Let go of me, she whispered, but the words felt weak, even to her own ears. Chidi held her arm for a moment longer before he finally released her. His eyes never left hers as he took a step back, his expression unreadable. You think you're tough, huh? He said, his voice now eerily calm. You think you can stand up to me. I'm your husband, Amara, and you'll learn that soon enough. You'll learn where your place is. Amara didn't know what to say. Her mind was spinning, her heart racing. What was happening to her? What had happened to the man she married, the man she had loved? But before she could respond, Chidi turned away, walking out of the room without another word. Amara stood there, her chest tight, her thoughts swirling. What am I supposed to do now? She thought, her hands trembling. How do I get out of this? Is it too late? She didn't have answers. She only had questions, endless questions. The silence in the room was deafening. And for the first time, Amara realized she might be stuck in this marriage forever, trapped by the chains of a tradition she never wanted. Amara stood still, her heart pounding in her chest as Chidi walked away. The room felt cold, empty, and suffocating. She could hear her own breath, shallow and fast. She didn't know what to do. Her mind raced with thoughts, but none of them seemed to make sense. Her eyes followed him, and just before he reached the door, she called out to him, her voice desperate. Chidi, wait! Amara said, her voice shaking. Please don't walk away like this. Don't leave me feeling like I'm nothing. I need to know if you still care. Chidi stopped by the door but didn't turn around. He stood there for a moment, his back to her, silent. Amara's heart twisted in her chest, hoping for something, anything that would prove he still cared. But when he finally spoke, his voice was cold, almost detached. Care? Chidi repeated, his back still turned. You really want to know if I care? I've been paying for everything, putting up with your family, and you still don't get it, do you? I don't owe you love, Amara. I don't owe you anything. Amara's chest tightened. Every word felt like a slap in the face. She wanted to run to him, to beg him to understand, but she didn't. She couldn't. She wasn't going to beg anymore. But you owe me respect, she shouted, her voice rising with the intensity of her emotions. You owe me kindness. Oh, I'm not your property, Chidi. I'm your wife. Chidi's shoulders stiffened, and he slowly turned to face her. There was a flash of anger in his eyes, but something else too. Something darker, something cold. Respect. Kindness. Chidi's lips twisted into a mock smile. You think I owe you that? You think I owe you any of that? No, Amara, you don't get to tell me how to treat you. I'm the man in this house. You'll do what I say. Amara felt her stomach churn. The truth hit her like a wave crashing against the shore. She wasn't just fighting for respect. She was fighting for her dignity, for her life. And Chidi wasn't going to change. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She had cried enough. This wasn't about tears anymore. This was about standing up for herself. I won't let you control me anymore. Chidi, she said, her voice calm but firm. I won't live in this prison you've built for me. I won't stay here being treated like nothing. I'm not your property. Chidi looked at her, his eyes narrowing with disbelief. He took a step closer, his voice low and dangerous. What are you going to do, huh? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. You think you can just walk out on me? Do you really think you can leave? No one will take you, Amara. You belong to me. And if you leave, you'll have nothing. Amara stood there, her heart racing, but her resolve was growing stronger. She knew she couldn't stay, she couldn't live like this anymore. You're wrong, she said, her voice steady. I don't need you. I don't need anyone who doesn't value me. I deserve better than this. I deserve to be happy, or to be treated with love and respect. Chidi laughed bitterly, the sound making Amara's stomach turn. You think you'll be happy? You think anyone will love you? You'll be alone, Amara. No one will want you after everything you've done. I paid for you, and now you'll stay with me. That's how this works. Amara shook her head. I don't care what you think anymore, Chidi. I'm done. I'm leaving. For a moment there was silence. Chidi stared at her, his expression unreadable. Then, with a final mocking laugh, he turned his back to her. Go ahead, leave. But remember, you won't be able to escape what's inside you. You'll always be my property. And deep down, you'll always know it. Amara stood there, frozen. His words echoed in her mind, but she didn't let them break her. She had made up her mind. It was time to go. She grabbed her bag from the table, her hands shaking. She didn't look back as she walked out of the room and out of the house. The night air was cold and the streets were empty. But for the first time in a long while, Amara felt a sense of freedom. It was terrifying, yes, but it was also exhilarating. She was finally taking control of her life, and she wasn't going to let anyone, no one, take that away from her. As she walked down the street, her heart still pounding, she couldn't help but feel a strange mix of fear and excitement. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew she couldn't go back. She had to move forward, even if it meant walking into the unknown. The next few months weren't easy. Amara found herself alone, trying to rebuild her life from scratch. There were days when she doubted herself, when the loneliness felt too heavy to bear. But slowly, she began to find her strength. She started making new friends, found work, and began to realize that she wasn't as alone as she had thought. The world wasn't so big, and she was capable of far more than she had ever given herself credit for. She never heard from Chidi again, and in time she stopped looking over her shoulder. She learned to live for herself, to care for herself, and to finally feel like she mattered. Moral lessons from the story. 1. Self-worth. Never let anyone make you feel like you're less than what you are. You deserve love, respect, and kindness, and if someone can't give that to you, it's okay to walk away. 2. Courage to change. Sometimes the hardest thing is to leave a toxic situation, but staying is often worse. Have the courage to walk away from things that don't serve you, even if the road ahead is uncertain. 3. Independence. You don't need anyone to define your worth. You have the power to create your own happiness, and you are strong enough to stand on your own 2 feet. 4. Respect in relationships. A relationship based on control and domination is not a healthy relationship. True love is about mutual respect, care, and understanding. Never settle for anything less. 5. Personal growth. Sometimes it takes losing something to find yourself. Amara's journey wasn't easy, but she came out stronger and more aware of her own value. Growth often comes through hardship, but it's worth the struggle.
Please do well to subscribe, like, and share our channel for more interesting stories like this.